Hey, what's up everybody? It has been a minute. Haven't had the chance to really do videos lately. Got a lot of stuff going on, getting ready for a move here at the end of June. But obviously we just recently had a very big announcement that's related to, the history of me on YouTube and the channel and everything. So we got the announcement of the next World of Warcraft expansion, and I wanted to take a moment and just kind of give you my overall thoughts on it. I'm sure that there are some of you out there who may be wondering like, oh, is this going to be the expansion that, gets Skylar to come back to World of Warcraft and make guides and everything again? And so the short version is, I don't think so, but there's a possibility. So we'll talk about it. I'm going to get in here and go over the stuff that they showcased in both the announcement trailer. We're going to look at the Dragonflight main page, and we're also going to look at the deep dive. I'm just going to give you my quick thoughts on everything and, kind of point out the things that I think just aren't doing it for me and the things that may be enough to get me to come back and maybe try out the game and maybe eventually make guides. So there was one big one, and you may be able to guess what it is. If you have a guess, put it in the comment section below right now before you find out what it is, and let's see if your guess was correct. All right, so let's jump in and check this out. So we're here on the Dragonflight main page, dragonflight.blizzard.com. So this was the name of the new expansion, World of Warcraft Dragonflight. It's very dragon, high fantasy focused. So first off, I think overall, I think the theme is cool, right? I think the return to Azeroth, the return to the high fantasy setting is just a nice place to be for the next expansion. It feels like coming back to normal World of Warcraft. I'm all on board with that. I'm always open to seeing the new stuff that they do, but I kind of feel like just getting back to that core of just high fantasy Azeroth type stuff is just gonna feel really nice. No more space stuff, no more Shadowlands stuff. Just overall, I enjoy the theme of this one, and it's not because I'm sick and tired of it or anything, but I don't really feel like we've had a Azeroth focused expansion in this way since maybe, I know this is going to sound weird, but maybe WoD, maybe Mr. Pandaria. I'm not sure. We had Battle for Azeroth, but it didn't really feel like it took place on Azeroth. It felt like, we're getting all this mystical stuff coming in and everything. So I don't know. Overall, I like the theme. So let's go down. So we have the cinematic video that they showed off. Okay, I thought this video was incredibly boring. I didn't like it at all. I got what they were trying to do, but I just it did not get me hyped for the expansion. It didn't show me anything I was super interested in. There were just dragons everywhere, which is fine, but at the end of the day, I don't know that I care that much about the dragons in general. I'm all on board for these zones and stuff that they're showing us and everything, but I didn't think this was a good trailer. I didn't like the trailer for Shadowlands either. Battle for Azeroth, I think that one was okay. Yeah, that one was okay. That one was pretty good because it was the Sour Fang, Lordaeron stuff going on there. So that one was pretty good, but recently I felt for the most part, the World of Warcraft cinematics have just not been good, in my opinion, and I didn't enjoy this one. There's all sorts of memes going around about, Stony Boy or whatever you want to call him, right? The character from the cinematic, and I get it, it's a fun character to meme, but yeah, I didn't care. Didn't care about the trailer. Didn't think it was good. Didn't like it. Didn't get me hyped for the expansion. So next up, we got the announcement of both a new playable race and class, and this is the Drakthir Evoker. So what do I think about this? I think it's a cool concept and a cool idea that doesn't hit home with me, right? I could see there being a race class combo that I would get really excited about, but I don't think this is it. Basically what we got here is what looks to be, in my opinion, a Worgen model with the dragon head and wings on it, which is not bad. I play a Worgen. I like the Worgen style. Overall, I don't think that the Drakthir look terrible, but I also don't think they look awesome. So I'm not really excited about the playable race here either. The playable class, Evoker, is going to be interesting. So they have 2 specs. One is a damage dealing spec, one is a healing spec. You know, they use the different aspect elements in order to cast their spells and abilities. They are a range class that uses mail. I think that's a good place for them to slot in. So it's nice to have another range class, and it's nice to get another male user because we barely have any of those compared to the other armor classes in the game. So it's nice that they're finally filling those in. So if we click here, you can see you can choose your allegiance. You could be Horde or Alliance. That's fine. They get their own special intro experience. So I'm definitely going to play one just to try that out. And then also I'm obviously going to want to try the classes themselves. Apparently there's going to be a lot of things that they're trying out new with this class, such as things as having like, it sounds like, you know, they kept pushing this like, oh, you're going to fly across the battlefield and breathe fire. And it's like, so basically it's like a leap, but with a different animation. It's kind of the impression I got. They're also adding a new type of ability, which is empowered abilities, where essentially you have to hold down the keybind in order to charge up the ability to various stages. And I mean, that's cool. I think it's cool that they're trying new things with the abilities. They're trying new things with this playable race class combo and the specializations. Like overall, I think that creating the Dracthyr is a positive step forward for World of Warcraft. I'm just not personally sold on the fantasy of it in general. So even though I think it's cool and I'll probably check it out, probably try it, I'm not super excited about it at the moment. Next, we have the Become a Dragon Rider feature. So essentially, this is kind of one of the big features of the expansion. Like as you go into the Dragon Isles, you're going to be able to get a dragon mount that is personal to you. And the huge thing here is that you're going to be able to unlock customizations for the mount to kind of create the mount that you want, right? So we have an example of one here, but you could customize your mount and it could look like this, or it could look like this, or it could look like this. You can see the different types of styles. I believe these are kind of like the default ones. So this is like, I don't know, it looks like blue, black, red, and green dragons here are the defaults. So there's going to be several things here with the Becoming a Dragon Rider that they're bringing into the game. So the first off is going to be the special moves. So as you grow in skill, your Drake's going to master new movements. So they're trying to add in dynamic mount movement into the game, doing things such as adding in gravity and momentum and stuff into the flying, so that if you jump off of a mountain and you dive down, which diving is like a move you'll be able to do, you can generate momentum using gravity, and then you can peak off at the bottom and be able to get a lot of speed to hurl you forward. So again, this is something that, like, do I think it's going to be amazing? Do I think it's going to revolutionize, you know, World of Warcraft? No, but I do think it's a cool thing for them to try to do. And I honestly wish that they did more with mounts. And if this is like their first step to heading into that direction of having customizable mounts and having mounts with different types of movement skills that you can use throughout the terrain, that's a super cool direction for this to go. Guild Wars 2 already has stuff like this, and it's really cool. So I'm happy to see it come over to World of Warcraft, and you know, this is going to be a kind of limited test, in my opinion, of one, you know, whether it's worth committing the resources to, and you know, like, how do people respond to it in general. So you're going to get those new moves. You're going to be advancing a dragon riding skill tree, which is also going to expand what you can do in those different areas. To my knowledge, it seems like it's going to expand, you know, like how fast you can dive and stuff like that. But we don't have any information about that, so don't you know, take that as like the actual thing that's going to happen. That's just kind of my best guess. And then, like I said, you're going to be able to unlock customization as well. Now, I will say that in this particular area for the mounts, the Dragon Rider mounts, I think the customization options actually looked really cool. There was a lot of stuff in there. There was a lot of variety, a lot of colors, a lot of different styles of dragons that you could make. So I'm actually, out of everything we've seen so far dragon related, I think the most exciting thing for me is the customization options that are available on the dragon mount itself. I looked at that and I was like, if I play, that's going to be something that is going to be super cool, in my opinion. And as somebody who just generally likes to collect transmogs and mounts and stuff, when I do play World of Warcraft, this is just kind of like a next step in that, and I think it's actually pretty cool. So then we got some information on the Dragon Isle zones. So we're going to get one starter zone for the Drakthir, and then there are going to be 4 leveling zones. They all have their different themes. So we have the Waking Shores, which is red dragon themed. We have the Onaran Plains, and I believe this is the green dragon one. The Azure Span, which is azure, so it's obviously blue. And then we have Thaldraszus, which I believe is going to be bronze. Bronze Dragonflight. So we've got these different zones, and then the Forbidden Reach should be, let's see, just checking it. It's either going to be the starter zone. They said there were 4 zones, I believe. So I think that's the starter zone. So the zones overall definitely have a Azeroth elemental feel. So I think this is cool. The Waking Shores, had a lot of like plant life and magma. The Onaran Plains was very cool, very Nagrand-esque. The Azure Span's got that wooded feel to it, and then Thaldraszus has a little more of like the architecture and stuff like that built in. So, the zones overall to me, they graphically didn't look like a huge step up from the stuff that we've seen so far in World of Warcraft in the most recent expansions, but I don't think that's a big deal because the zones in the most recent expansions have looked pretty damn good. I did notice that there seems to be a lot more verticality in these zones, but I think part of the reason for that is because of dragon riding and like flight being a huge thing. Based on what I heard in the reveal stream and all that, it sounds like you're going to be able to start flying or not flying. You're going to be able to start dragon riding right at the start of the expansion, or very early on. So if you are able to dragon ride, and they're expecting you to use that to get around the zones, it would make sense for there to be more verticality built into the zones themselves. So I think that's fine if that's something that they're going to incorporate. The one thing I do worry about, but I don't think will be a huge problem, is if the whole thing is built around like momentum and stuff, will you be able to just like fly straight up this mountain that you see here? And I think you probably will be. It just won't be at like a super fast pace, right? Because it looked like they really wanted you to get to the top of this mountain, jump off, do your dive, and use your momentum to soar out across, the different areas. And also you have things like the plains. Are you going to be able to do any of the dragon riding stuff on the plains? I don't know. We don't know enough about dragon riding yet to make those kind of determinations. And we also haven't seen all the different like terrain features and stuff in the zones. So we'll have to see, right? So here we got some example of the dragon riding. So you can see ride or die. So there's the dive into the momentum. They've got the little contrails on the wings when you're starting to hit max speed. You can see some of the different customizations. You can see how this dragon looks different than the ones we've seen before. Overall, I think that the dragon riding stuff seems pretty cool. Right? We'll just have to see how it works. It's kind of like a weird combination of like a free fall, a mount, and a glider. So then we have gameplay updates, discovering new ways to play, and I'm gonna kind of rotate through these in a different way. So we have the new HUD and interface, okay? And we're going to look at these more in the deep dive, so we'll talk about them more there when we get into them. I just want to give you an overall impression right now, and then in the deep dive, I'll give you, more thoughts that I have. So the new HUD interface, they're updating the heads-up display for World of Warcraft. It seems like they're incorporating some features that are like most commonly used in a lot of the add-ons. So we'll get into talking about that later. Overall, I think this is just a positive change. It's just good to be able to have more features built into the HUD. It is pretty archaic at this point. It's been, they said, 18 years since a HUD update. Sorely needed. Next, we have updates to professions and crafting. I think this is going to be a overall positive change based on what they have said. And I think that this is kind of in line with what I've been hoping they would do with professions to some degree for years now. And then the next thing we got is a new talent system. And we're going to talk about this a lot in the deep dive because this is definitely the thing that would get me interested in coming back to play World of Warcraft. Out of everything else that we've seen here so far, none of this stuff would really bring me back and hook me in. I would maybe, get the expansion, play it and try it out, but like it's not going to get me to make content again, you know what I mean? Unless I'm just totally surprised by the experience that I have, but I don't think that I will be because this is still just a World of Warcraft expansion. We've had 2 back-to-back bad ones. I don't have a lot of confidence in Blizzard still, so, it's going to take something that's... I don't think they could do anything drastic enough to make me be like, I have to come back. But what they could do is implement something that makes me curious enough to try it again. And I think the new talent system could potentially be that. So we'll get into that in the deep dive. Then some additional features. So they are going to raise the level cap again. I kind of hope they wouldn't do this. I wish they would, just keep it at 60 and, they could have added on Dragon Rider levels or, you know what I mean? They could have done something different that didn't increase the leveling cap. But whatever, it's a staple of World of Warcraft at this point, and maybe they just can't figure out how to make their game engaging and enjoyable and get people to play it with a new expansion without adding more levels. I don't know. But I mean, are we not going to run into the same problem where they're going to have to condense back down to 60 again? I don't know. Anyway, there's going to be a new raid, obviously, and new dungeons. Wow, what a surprise. I mean, I think if there wasn't going to be a raid or a dungeon, they should have put that as an additional feature. No dungeons this time. What? So then we got some pictures of stuff here. So I encourage you to go check out the cinematic trailer, but don't sell yourself on the expansion based on the cinematic trailer, because like I said, I didn't particularly think it was very good. Although, I do like this artwork is very cool. It's cool to see Alexstrasza here and just like all the dragons. It's got a nice theme, like I said. So let's go over and talk about the deep dive. So they did a deep dive and got us into more systems. So the story, I didn't read anything about the story really. I mean, I don't particularly want to get into the story spoilers here in this video either. So we're going to skip that, right? You can check that out yourself if you want. So we are going to the Dragon Isles. We got the Waking Shores. They've added ducks into the game, which everybody's freaking out about, but I mean, I don't care, right? Ducks aren't going to get me to play World of Warcraft again. That's where I'm at. Like, you have to sell me on coming back to play World of Warcraft. With everything that's happened with your crappy expansions and with all the, company issues that you've had, ducks aren't going to bring me back. So then we have the Anaran Plains, Azure Span, Valdrassus. So, like I said, I'm not going to get too much into this. So let's talk about the Evoker class. So first off, the dragons are huge. I don't know if that's actually the size they're going to be or if it's just because they're in the forefront. I'm assuming that they're going to be taller than a human, but I can't imagine that they would make a character that's taller than a Tauren, maybe they are. I'm pretty sure this is just because they're in the forefront, and then when they switch to the back, I do think they'll be taller than a human, but not excessively tall, right? So with the Drakthir, you're going to be able to have a sort of humanish form and then also a dragon form. They added in a lot of customization here. You can match up the color of scales and stuff between the two forms. They kind of showcased this system where they now have the ability to highlight in the hair. That's cool. I mean, I don't mind having more customization options in general, so that's fine. But overall, this is kind of the vibe, and I'm just not really feeling it. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad, but I don't look at it and go, oh, that's what I wanted to play as. So, yeah. So dragon riding, right? So They didn't add a whole lot here. Check out the deep dive on YouTube if you want to see some of the stuff that is in there. Maybe we'll pop over to Wowhead and just take a look at some. I'm sure they got more screenshots. So let's talk about the HUD and the UI, right? So here's a couple of things. They are updating assets in general. The mini-map's bigger. The health bars are bigger. They've kind of cleaned up some of the clutter around the action bars. They've updated the griffins. They're adding in wyverns for the horde side. They're also going to be implementing something where you're able to move around things on the screen. So you'll be able to just drag your health bar down and stuff by default without having to implement an add-on. So that's really cool if you just want to like tweak your UI a little bit, but you don't want to install and deal with a bunch of add-ons. You can see some updates to the menu and bags here. Overall, like a lot of what they have going on here looks kind of like the stuff that I and many other people like to do to just sort of minimize the UI and have more screen space, screen real estate available to see the game. So I think this is a overall positive change. They're not taking away the ability to work with or add add-ons. So everything that you've been able to do, you should probably still be able to do when the expansion comes out. So that's pretty cool. And I believe they said that they will be able to save, edit, copy different UI layouts here too. And that also these would be spec specific, so that if you swapped specs, the UI would update with that as well. So overall, just really good positive changes to the base level UI. I do still think that, you know, if you were watching my UI videos because you like to tweak and customize, you know, your own stuff and get it set exactly how you want it, you're still going to be doing that, right? This isn't going to stop you from that. But just at a baseline level, if you weren't into add-ons, then this is going to give you some, you know, extra customization. So making videos about this, you're like, hey, like update your UI with the default tools. I can see myself making videos for that, you know, if I did decide to make content again. Which again, I haven't. Just to be clear. There's not enough information yet, okay? We're going to skip talent updates and come back to that. So the profession revamp, okay? There's a lot going on here. So they introduced crafting orders. So essentially what a crafting order is you, as a person who wants something crafted, can post a request for that kind of in an auction house system. And then crafters can come along and they can fill those requests. So instead of, you know, spamming trade chat being like, hey, I need the legends of, you know, the leggings of awesomeness. Can someone craft this for me? You can just go in. You can see all the recipes that are available for crafters to create. You can click on the leggings of awesomeness, and then you can add any of the reagents that you need or you have that are part of the recipe or none. So in this case, like, you know, this is a Black Dragon Seared Alloy. If you had all of the ones you needed, you could upload them in here and basically add your fee, kind of calculate like, hey, I've already added all the ingredients. I just need you to push craft. So here's the amount that, you know, I'm willing to pay for this to be done. Or you could be missing all the ingredients and go, hey, I want this and I'm willing to pay more because I don't have any of the ingredients. So essentially you put up your order with whatever ingredients you want to include, you post a price for it, and then crafters can go into this menu and they can look at orders that need to be fulfilled. They fulfill them either, you know, just by crafting them or adding their ingredients and crafting them as well. And then they get the commission that was put up along with the order. So first off, super cool, fantastic system in my opinion, just based on what I've seen about it so far. This looks very, very good. I think it's going to take a lot of the just like stress out of trying to figure out where to get your stuff from. But I also think it's just going to supply a steady list of orders and things for crafters to do, right? So you just boot up and you go in here and there's going to be orders. And if you could fill them, cool. If you see that, you know, orders are always being generated for a particular item, then maybe you can make the decision, the determination to go out there and farm for those specific materials. I do think that is really cool. The one thing we haven't heard about here that I think would probably make this a little more interesting is the ability for gatherers to upload their ingredients into these different orders for a portion of the commission. you know, that may be a little too complicated, but I feel like at the moment, this is geared towards people that want things crafted and people that can craft. And it doesn't seem like there is a space in here for people who maybe have double gathering or something like that to put their stuff into the work order system. Obviously, you could still put your ingredients up on the auction house, but I think it would be cool, you know, when they say like professions, that includes gathering, right? So I think it'd be cool if they could find a way to work that in. And so far, that's the main issue I see with this, is you're kind of leaving out a chunk of professions, because I know a lot of times I don't want to worry about crafting, right? So I'll just double gatherer on a character, and it'd be, you know, cool to be able to go in and list that here. Even if it's as simple as like having a dedicated materials menu within here, where it's just crafting materials, kind of like the auction house, but built into here. So it just feels like this is the space, right, for all the crafting and gathering and, you know, stuff to happen. So the next thing that they introduced is they introduced quality as a thing. So along with quality, they also introduced profession skill points, or, you know, talent points, or however you want to put it. We haven't really seen that, but you can see here there's a bar. And I'm not sure if this bar is the quality level. It looks like the quality level to me, but essentially you're going to be able to put points into a crafting tree of some sort. We didn't get details on it. And as you put points into that tree, you can specialize in different areas of crafting. So the example they gave is if you're a blacksmith, you could focus on putting your points into creating better armor, or you could put it into creating better weapons. And based on how you spec out, you're going to be different than other people that have the same exact crafting profession as you, right? So there's some variance there, and those points will affect the quality of the items that you create in that category, right? So if you have more points put into armor, then you're going to be able to create better pieces of armor, higher quality pieces of armor that will sell better than someone who hasn't, and vice versa. If you've put them into weapons, you know, then you're going to have better weapons. One of the things they pointed out with this was that, you know, if you're in a guild, you could have multiple people that have the same profession, but they could specialize in different ways. And then that lends a little bit of importance to each of those people. And it doesn't feel like you just have a bunch of blacksmithing clones. So I think this is cool for the individual player. I think this is cool for the character in a large guild. I think it might be a little weird for the small scale. Like if you only had one blacksmith in your guild and now they have to specialize. If you guys want the best weapons and they're spec'd into armor, you got to go find them somewhere else. So there's potential there for this not to be like the wholesome, fun thing that they, you know, want it to be. But I think overall it's a good change. So they do talk about the ability to craft items at higher quality is through crafting specializations. So also they're adding crafting tables for all professions within the city hub of Valdrakken in a central area. So this is supposed to be an area where crafters come to gather and meet. If this is anything like some of the other MMOs that I've played, like Elder Scrolls Online, that crafting hub area does tend to be fairly busy, and there's a lot of people running around doing this, doing that, moving from one station to another. So I do think that they'll probably be able to hit the goal here of kind of making the crafting area feel like a living, vibrant, used space within the city. So I think that's a good move for them to try to do this. And then the next thing that they talked about, which I don't think we have a picture of here, is crafting gear. So not gear like gear that you find out in the world or get from a raid, but more like cosmetics, right? So like a chef's hat if you're a chef, or goggles if you're an engineer. So they're trying to incorporate more personality, more customization, more cosmetics into the profession crafts themselves. And part of that is adding these sort of cosmetics that you don't have to carry around with you in your bag. It sounds like, you know, they will be like equipped when you're doing that profession, or you could select to opt into those as maybe like a transmog or something. Like, again, we haven't seen like a whole bunch about that. There are some screenshots out there though, where you can see that happening. So that's obviously cool, right? Just another cool little thing. So that brings us to the last part of the deep dive, and the part that I think is the most interesting, and the thing that might potentially get me to come back and not only play, but maybe eventually make videos as well. and that is talents are getting totally overhauled. And you know that my jam is all about making builds and showing people how to use their abilities and their skills and everything. And so changing up some of the fundamentals of how that works creates something entirely new and exciting for me, potentially, depending on how it's implemented. So they basically said that they have noticed through Classic and the way that people have approached the talent trees in Classic that we've lost something with the addition of the talent trees in their form based on Mist of Pandaria, which is what we have currently, where you have like a line and you pick one of three things and then one of three things. And I've never hated that system, but I've never enjoyed that system to its fullest, because I felt like it did really limit what you could do. Like, part of the ability of having these talent trees was the fact that you really could kind of do some weird hybrid stuff, right? And they did mention that that's one of the things that they feel like they've lost. And so they are returning to talent trees, but in a much different form than what we had seen, prior to Mist of Pandaria. So there's a couple of things here we can see in the screenshot. So they use a druid here as an example. And you can see that on one side of this talent tree, you have druid points, and on the other side we have restoration points. So essentially one side of this talent tree is based on gathering abilities that are sort of gathering and enhancing abilities that are sort of generic and class wide, whereas the restoration side, or the other side here, is going to be spec specific talent points. And you can see that you do get druid points at some point, and then you also get the spec points. Now, what I'm seeing here, basically, to me, this looks like pre-level 10, right? Like, you've got 1 point available, they've got 2 points in, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little more, depending on how they set up the UI. It could be that you need to, like, put 3 points in to have this. I don't know. We don't know enough about this system yet to make any big calls or judgments. I'm just giving you my best guess, right? So this looks like there's no points available over here, so you're probably lower level. It's just kind of what I'm seeing, right? So as we go through this, we see a couple of like breakpoints here. This says like 8. I'm assuming you need to have 8 points in before you can unlock this row and start putting points in here. I'm not sure if this one is going to come up and be like, oh, you got to spend like 16 points before you can get into the bottom. But that's kind of what it looks like to me, right? You're going to get points here. And then as you put points in, you're going to unlock the next tier. And then as you put more points in, either up here or down here, you'll unlock the next tier. And you can see that, there are a lot of weird branching paths here, which is going to limit builds to some degree. But I think that's fine. I think that's interesting. Just based on the icons I'm seeing, it's like healing, 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 and then something that's probably a mix of healing and balance. But you can see the way they've broken down this tree, right? This to me is cat, cat, bear, 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 bear. So it looks like they kind of have a column that's like cat, bear, resto, balance, and then in between these columns, they have things that are hybrid between the two, right? So this is feral protection. This is like protection resto, and then this is like resto balance. So that's kind of what I'm getting from these talent trees here. But the cool thing about this is, depending on how many points you get, you could like go get some resto, dip into balance, right? Hit here, and then maybe put some points into balance and come down. Like, there's a couple places where you can kind of branch off and get like a weird point, right? Go down resto, grab this balance point, keep going, grab this, it looks like cleanse or whatever it's called, dispel. Keep going down. I can't tell. I can't tell based on the structure here and everything, like how hybrid you're going to be able to go, but it's definitely going to be more hybrid than not having this tree at all, right? And then over here on the resto side, like everything in here is obviously going to be restoration related to some different degree. So I think that overall, this whole talent shakeup is the thing that has caught my interest, and it has me curious. And whether or not I would eventually decide to make content again for World of Warcraft is going to come down to how interesting this is, because I don't necessarily need the expansion itself to be amazing. I need something that's going to hook me in and make me want to think and try things out, experiment, and just have fun, like playing and testing things. And this talent revamp could be the thing that does that for me. But I don't know. It depends on the talent points, right? Because if this is like, oh, do 10% more healing, that's not interesting to me, right? So if a lot of the talent tree is just like those small stat upgrades and stuff, that's not going to interest me. But if this is more about picking abilities or enhancing abilities, getting entirely new abilities, that kind of changing the way an ability works, if there's a lot of that in here, that would be amazing, and I would be really excited to try that out. So there's a couple other things in here. You know, they said that you're going to be able to save talent loadouts and stuff and swap them really quickly on the fly. You know, that's definitely cool. We could see here again, like they've kind of gone down the tree. This is a fairly good amount of points that they're putting in here. There's no indication about their level or anything like that. But there's a lot of points here. There's a lot of points here. And it looks like, yeah, so it looks like this is like a single point. And this is one you could put multiple in, because this says 1, 2. This doesn't say anything. This says 3, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. So we'll have to see like how that plays out, but it does look like there are talents you could put multiple points into, or maybe you have to put multiple points into in order to be able to get them. And again, it does look like here you unlock this tier and it looks like you just get taunt by default by unlocking this. Or is that taunt? No, that's I can't think of the name. It's the rebirth skill. And then this is the speed boost. Savage Roar? I don't remember. I don't remember the names. I haven't played Druid extensively for a while. So, and then you get your PvP talents down here. So there's not enough info for me to know for sure, but we got enough of a glimpse for me to be curious. I have signed up for the beta for Dragonflight to see if I can get in. I do still potentially have some avenues to do that in other ways. And we'll see if those opportunities arise. But if they do, then I definitely will be checking out the beta, because there's an opportunity here for this to be an expansion. There's just with everything that's happened with the past 2 expansions, with Blizzard as a company, with the people that have left or been forced to leave, there's an opportunity for them to use this expansion as a jumping point to doing things in World of Warcraft differently than they've been done for the past 10, 15 years. And while I'm not positive, I'm not like super optimistic about this expansion as a whole, I don't think it's gonna save World of Warcraft or anything like that. This seems to be one where they're willing to scale back and try to switch into focusing on things that players have asked for and things that are new and interesting. Are they all gonna work? No. They're not all going to work, right? I'm not confident that Blizzard can implement any of this effectively. But the point is, there's enough stuff here that's different that I think it's worth trying to get into the beta, provide feedback, and kind of push them along and be like, keep trying this kind of stuff, because honestly, your game's dead if you don't try to shake things up. So I want to pop over real quick. We'll go to Wowhead, and we will just check and see if there's anything here that's super interesting before we end. So dragon riding replaces flying in the Dragon Isles. I do not want desktop stuff here. So we've got the HUD interface improvements, right? So we kind of talked about all this. Scroll through. Yeah, so this is, they're kind of chopping up the deep dive. If you go to the World of Warcraft YouTube channel, you can see both the cinematic trailer, the release, or the reveal stream, and then you can see the deep dive as well. profession system. So I did want to show you guys real quick. They probably have pictures in here of the... They don't have pictures, but there is gear. I'm surprised they don't have the pictures right there. Okay. Massive PvP changes in Dragonflight. WoD style PvP gear is returning in 10.0. That's a positive thing in my opinion. Renown is returning for Dragonflight, so advance all reputations simultaneously. That sounds pretty cool. We did get a big announcement about, you know, classic Wrath of the Lich King as well, but whatever. The only classic expansion I kind of want to play is Mist of Pandaria. So whenever they get to that, I might jump in and try that again. Let's see. We did get a look at some tier sets, but I haven't really looked at those too much. You know, like I'm not diving back into covering WoW content here by any means. I just wanted to talk to you guys about the expansion. So I don't see anything too crazy there over on Wowhead. So I think this is where we're gonna call it for this video. Hopefully you guys, you know, this has given you my insight as a longtime player of World of Warcraft, as a content creator of World of Warcraft, on, you know, what I think is gonna, you know, come from Dragonflight. Again, I don't think it's the expansion that's going to save World of Warcraft. At the moment, I still don't plan on making content for it or going back to that or anything. I do plan on trying to get into the beta or the alpha or whatever I can, check out the game, test it out, and get a good look at everything. And so far, I think there's enough things that they're doing new and interesting that I would definitely check the expansion out when it came out. If, as we continue towards the release date, which has not been announced to my knowledge, they, you know, that positive trend continues, right? At the moment, I would say I'm interested. I'm curious, right? The talent revamp is really the thing that got me. And so we'll have to see how that plays out before I have a better idea of like what I want to make videos for this again. So at the moment, I'm probably going to try. I'm definitely going to try to get into the beta and the alpha and check it out. I think they're doing some cool stuff here that's not cool enough to get me to come back and play World of Warcraft full time, but is cool. And I think they have enticed my interest enough with the talent revamp system that I'm willing to keep an open mind about potentially coming back and playing World of Warcraft a lot and possibly making content for it. But I'm not there yet. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry I haven't been able to make more. There's a lot going on IRL, you know, training at work. We're prepping to move my wife here, you know, in a couple months. Just trying to sort all that stuff. There's a lot going on, you know. We're trying to sell a house and move and, you know, everything. So it's just been really, really busy. But hopefully, you know, as we get into the fall, that'll kind of slow down. And we'll see where we go from there. So thanks, everybody. Appreciate you continuing to stay here and just, you know, be a part of the channel. And hopefully, you know, the next video won't be 2 months from now. But we'll see. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Let me know in the comment section below what you think of World of Warcraft Dragonflight. And maybe you will inspire me to put up another video talking about it. Thanks, everyone.